24th, and I wanted to do today a quick video on where to get started to buy a home. I'll also give you some tips on things you should or shouldn't be doing while you're buying a home. The reason I want to do that is because obviously being in real estate, I often get asked, I want to buy a home. Where do we start? Or occasionally I'll get that call of, oh my gosh, Rose, we found the perfect home, but they haven't actually started the process of being qualified and being in the position to buy. Because it is, unlike buying a car that you could just show up at a dealership, they run your credit. Oh, you have good credit. There you go. Take your car. Home buying purchase is quite a bit different. So, yeah, thank you for joining, and that's what we'll be covering today. So, hope everybody is doing well during this fun quarantine time. I know today my wedding ring still fits, so things are good. All right. So, first off, what's the most important thing that you should be doing when you start the home buying process? A lot of times people think that it's contacting a realtor, right? Let's find a realtor, find the home. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely love when people call me and reach out to me wanting more information. And if you do reach out to me, then as your realtor, I'm happy to get you on the path and put you in connections with the steps that you may need to take. And those could be different for everybody. Everybody's situation is different. Everybody has different credit scores, different down payments. There's so many different types of loans out there. There's VA, FHA, conventional, jumbo. And then there's different products where they can like down payment assistance if you're, first time home buyer and you don't have that big down payment, which the reality is a lot of people don't have a large lump sum to put down on a home. So where do we start, right? So just know when you're in the market to purchase a home, it could be as easy as in your head, you've already spent months or years trying to have good credit, trying to have a big down payment. So when you feel you're ready and you reach out to a lender and your realtor, you might be able to get qualified immediately and go out there and find that dream home or a starter home. And some people, the home buying process could take weeks, months, or even years. And so the first step, typically I do like, if you come to me first, I do like to try to either sit down with you or have a conversation over the phone. I have a little intake sheet that we complete. And it just has like a doctor, it just has a series of questions that I'll be asking you on why you want to buy a home, the area you want to be in, what does that look like to you? And then depending on your situation, then I put you down the path that I feel is best for you. Most cases, that's the next step would be speaking with a lender. That lender is going to ask you for pretty much anything related to finances. So you're going to want to send your tax return, your pay stubs, what are your monthly debts, which a lot of the, that kind of stuff like your credit card debt and your car payments, they're going to be able to see. But if you can provide that ahead of time, more is always better, right? So they're going to see what, if anything, you qualify for. And sometimes, especially if it's your first time, you may not realize there's something on your credit that either isn't there, shouldn't be there, or you should have came up. Who knows, right? There's magical stuff that appears. And so, working with a lender, and there is companies out there that'll help do this for you, but a lot of times your good lenders, they're able to guide you, and for the most part it's pretty simple, whether you need to dispute something, or maybe you have a credit card that you closed and it still shows active. Well, that from a lender's perspective, that shows as potential debt that they might not want to see. So calling that company and say, hey, I know I don't have, I paid this bill off and it's been closed for months or years, can you please update that on my credit? So you want your credit to be accurate. Or maybe there's a credit card you haven't paid and that you're behind on that's now gone through collections. A lender may, and again, everybody's situation is different. So don't do any of this, especially if you want to buy soon, until you've talked to a professional like myself or a lender. Because depending also on what loan program your lender is going to put you in, some might be okay with certain things on your credit. Some might say, okay, let's negotiate this and get it off your credit, or let's pay this off. And sometimes, maybe you felt like you saved a big down payment, you go to get qualified, and the lender says, I want you to take half your down payment and pay off your credit cards. And you feel like, oh my gosh, no, I need that. Well, again, it's their job based on your scenario to get you the best advice. And that's another reason why you don't want to get advice just from friends. Not that they're not smart, not that they don't have your best interests in mind, but a lot of times people are going to advise you based on their situation, what they went through. So, for example, somebody that maybe was in the service might say, oh, VA is the best way to go. You don't need a down payment, but maybe you don't qualify for that. I don't know. So again, everyone's situation is different. So it's so important to get in touch with your realtor, your lender, get the process moving, and create a game plan. So, buying a home for you might be in 6 months. Right now, some of my buyers, I might suggest that either buy right now because people um, are scared to buy right now and interest rates are still really low. So the competition isn't as hard out there. I know I have people that are saying, no, I want to wait till all this is over. Well, now you're going with the herds, right? Suddenly there'll be a bunch of inventory and everybody else fighting for those homes because we live in such a unique area. Inventory has been still very low and interest rates are low. So I wouldn't say necessarily that it's a buyer or seller's market. We're kind of at a happy medium, but because of the low inventory, it makes it a good time for a seller to sell. And because interest rates are low, it makes it a good time for a buyer to buy. And it's always much better to buy with a low interest rate, even if you pay more from a home versus waiting till home prices come down um, and having a higher interest rate. And just know prices run in a 10 to 15-year cyclical cycle, right? So, yes, they might do this, but over time, it is always going up. Imagine buying a home 50, 60 years ago, all they do, right? And so, be confident that, and this video is again geared more towards your first time home buyers. So, um, if you're an investor, it might be a different strategy, right? If you're able to pay cash for a home, sure, you might want to wait for prices to come down. But for the bulk, it's your first time buyer, you don't have a huge down payment, and interest rate makes a huge difference. So, how do you time that? And so for my current buyers, I might say either, like I was saying, either jump in now or wait till the summer rush once we're able to really get back to the norm. I think there's going to be a lot going on in the market, so maybe waiting till the holiday season to purchase because maybe the competition won't be as aggressive out there, and that is what I personally foresee, but only time will tell. All right, so hopefully that helps you. Also know, as a buyer's and seller's agent, when somebody comes to me ready to buy a home, I do set you up with a great search tool where you can search the MLS Direct. And I think some people have this idea that an agent's job is to find you that home. Well, I got news for you. The reality is the majority, by way more than half of clients, actually find their home online from the comfort of their home, or they think they know what they want. They're searching specifically for that. And then one day they're driving down a street. They see an open house in an area that they don't want to live in a tract that they don't care for, and they walk in and it's their dream home. And so that's why sometimes just um, should your agent spend a ton of time showing you homes? Well, yeah, if there's certain homes you want to see and they're by appointment only, absolutely. But chances are you are going to find that home that you're going to purchase, whether online or from driving around. And then our job really starts once we get you an escrow, once we start writing the offers. In fact, they say for every call that we make to our clients, so I'm reaching out to one of you, we're making 10 behind the scenes to escrow and title and insurance and inspecting companies. I mean, wanting a home is a huge process. So next week we'll actually have Brenda from a title company where I'll be interviewing her. So that'll give you a little information on what title policies are. Okay, so I'll give you a couple do's and don'ts and then we'll end this. So a few do's. So basically, before I read this list, anything that has to do with money, don't change things. Keep paying your payments on time, keep doing what you've been doing, and don't do anything drastic unless you have consulted your lender. You really want to move at the pace of your lender. So just because under the mattress you have enough money to go pay off your car loan, don't do that unless you've gotten an okay from your lender. And if you don't have a lender, reach out to me. I have many great lenders that I work with, that I greatly trust and know what they have to offer, and that I enjoy working with. So, all right. So a few do nots. Do not, do not, do not. So first we'll focus on what not to do when you're buying a home. Again, unless your lender tells you. Okay, so do not open any new accounts, um, including bank accounts, but especially credit cards and store accounts, etc. So you might think, really, by opening a checking account's gonna harm me? Don't do it. Unless you talk to the lender, don't do it. You don't want to show changes in your credit when you're in the process of purchasing a house. So no new accounts. Credit cards, bank accounts, no. Next, do not close accounts. This can lower your score by wiping out history of good credit and other negative effects. So you might think, okay, well, I have this furniture card. It's been paid off forever. I'm not going to buy other furniture. I'm just going to close it. Well, don't, because if you pay those on time, that might reflect as, positive on your credit, and closing it, as it states here, can give you some positive points in your credit. So don't close anything, again, unless your lender tells you to. Okay, next, use cash from home. This is called mattress money. It does not exist as far as the lender is concerned. If you try to deposit this money into an account, it will cause a problem and may even make that account unusable. How to find out how to slowly transfer that money without any problems. So you want to watch your spending on your credit cards, and if you have money at home, be using that. Be very money cautious when buying a home. Next, do not buy anything, cars, motorcycles, TVs, etc. So other than the necessities, your groceries, so if you put your groceries on your credit card every month, fine, but don't go out and do any extra spending. Lenders especially are looking out for this, that you're not, this is kind of goes back to the potential debt. They want to make sure you're not gonna, you've had good credit and now you buy a home and you suddenly want to spend all this money on furniture that you can't afford. So do not buy anything big, including furniture or items for the new home. Even at that $100 a month payment can lower the amount of home you can buy, or the money spent might have been needed for the purchase. So what if you had a last minute need for money for closing costs? You spend it, now you don't have it. So don't go out and buy anything. In fact, I had a guy that had great credit, had a down payment. His situation was good, and we were in the process of looking for homes for him. And he went out and bought a new car. And in his defense, he thought, no big deal. My car's getting older. I don't remember if it was a lease or something, but he turned in his old car, purchased a new car, and his payment actually went down a tad from his current car payment to his new car payment. But the mere fact that he purchased that, and he was literally in the process of purchasing a home, he was disqualified. So we had to stop and wait for some time to be able to get that. So I've had it happen to me, so don't go buy cars. Okay. Do not move money around from different accounts. Keep the money where it is until we talk. And so sometimes maybe you worked at 5 different hospitals and you have retirement accounts, and you just think, I'm going to move them all together. Or you've had a checking account here, checking account there, or you want to consolidate. Don't do it until you talk to a lender. Don't do it. So you might think, I'm going to move all this money because this is my down payment. Again, unless you're told to leave the money where it is. Once the home closes, once the home closes, then do whatever you want. And notice I said once the home closes, and that's because when you're in the process of purchasing a home, a lender's going to run your credit at least 3 times. And it might be more. So typically when you get qualified, they run your credit. Thing number 1. Once we submit an offer and we start the loan process in actually purchasing that home, they're going to run your credit. And then right before the home closes, and I'm talking like days, right before the home closes, bam, they run your credit a 3rd time. And these aren't hard hits, so don't freak out that your credit's being ran 3 times. It's okay. This is normal. Credit bureaus know this, but they're going to run your credit at least 3 times. So even if you think, oh my gosh, we're 2 days from closing, let's go out and buy furniture, that could put a halt to it. It might change your qualifying ability. And for, sometimes, many times, people are purchasing what they qualify or right about where they qualify. Most people aren't very conservative in the sense that, oh, I qualify for 700, but I want to stick to 500. So if there was a small change in your monthly debt, it may or may not make a difference. But when you're already stretching yourself, I qualify for 600 and I'm in the 600 range, you can't go out and spend money. Okay. Next, do not borrow money. You cannot borrow money for the down payment or closing costs. It must be a gift. And if you have friends that love to give those gifts, please make them my friends too. I don't mind taking money back. All right. There should be a relationship between the donor and the recipient. Talk to your loan officer about how to do it right. And so we understand there are situations where parents have said, I want to give you 20,000 towards your down payment. That's fine. That's doable. But again, we need to tell you the proper way to do that and what's going to be required of the lender to be able to receive those funds and use them. Because if they're just show up magically in your bank account, it's just not the way the system works. So talk to your professional. Next, do not pay off or pay down any debts until we talk and find out where you are financially. And that's kind of goes hand in hand with everything I've already said, right? We need to put together a plan. Next, do not do anything financial without speaking to your loan officer first. You might be surprised that a seemingly little thing might cause a transaction to cease. Next, do not dispute any info on your accounts or your cosign for anybody. Don't cosign for anybody. Let's just say you have a financial advisor and you call your financial advisor and you say, I want to take this money and pay it off. I'm paying interest rate this much on my credit card. This is interest I'm earning here. I want to go ahead and pay it off. Unless your financial advisor is speaking with your lender, your financial advisor is there, yes, on a daily basis to give you set you up for your financial future. But when you are, and you all know I'm married to one, so I very much respect the industry. But when you are in the process of purchasing a home, unless your lender and your financial advisor are speaking, you have to talk to the lender. I can't stress that enough. I love my financial advisor. He's amazing. But when it's time to purchase a home, especially first time home buyers, we got to just make sure that they're on the same page. And I say that because, you can have a scenario where someone's calling their financial advisor and say, I'm just going to take that money and pay off our debt. Well, that can hurt you. And your financial advisor might be like, oh, that's a good idea. Like, let's take this much because, the interest rate there is more than it is here, whatever. But okay, so now let's talk about things that you can and should do when buying a home. All right, so the to-dos. Start talking to a loan officer as soon as possible, even if it's a year in advance. Yeah, I've had clients that it's even longer, and that's okay. The sooner you do this, the smoother the transaction will be and the higher the rate of success. So many people think that they have to find their home or their agent or whatever before they start the process. And really, we need to start with the lender. Okay. Give your loan officer accurate information. So maybe you have a child support that you don't want your wife to find out. The lender's going to find it. It's going to come out and it's only going to hurt you. So just close everything up front. Your lender's not there to judge you. He's not there to say, oh, you're a good or bad person. That is not their job. Their job is to guide you in getting you the home loan. And think about it. They don't get paid unless they get you that loan. So they have your best interest in mind. Okay. Give them accurate information. Something forgotten or left out can cause a big problem later. Next, be careful where the deposit money is coming from. This can cause problems if it is not from the right source. Talk to your lender. So again, it's just very important that you let your lender know where your down payment's coming from, especially if it's coming from like a qualified account. If you don't even know what that means, all the more reason to let your lender know, okay, my down payment is already sitting in my checking account. I'm borrowing from a retirement, or I have an investment. Wherever it is, it's important that your lender knows where that money's coming from. Next, make all payments on your current debt on time. So continue as normal, paying your cars, your credit cards, whatever payments you might have. And then, ta-da, we're almost to the end. So, what are some of the, and I kind of already covered some of this, but what are some of the stuff that you should start collecting ASAP? And please don't get mad at me or your lender if you haven't provided the right documentation to get you qualified and then you find the home you want and you lose it. At the end of the day, if we don't have what we need, I can't even write an offer if I don't have a pre-approval. So get the required documents to your lender, so he can get me that pre-approval so we can have our ducks in a row and get you that home you want. So some of the things that you should already have, and start collecting to have ready for the lender is 2 months checking and saving account statements, all pages, including blanks, most recent. And I know a lot of people are online, no problem. You could go online, print the most recent checking and savings accounts. 2-year W-2s and or 1099s. Most recent, of course. So 5 years ago, you had an amazing year. That's great, but we need the most recent ones. Okay, 1 month's payment stubs. Again, most recent payment stub. A copy of driver's license, a good copy. So just because you don't like your picture doesn't mean you make a horrible copy for your lender. And then the last two years tax returns, federal only, all pages, including schedules. I always love when people want to send you just like, look what I made. No, we need all the pages. So, and keep in mind, that's just a guide. That's your kind of like a generic guide of the items that you're going to need to provide. But everybody's situation is different. So, in some cases, they might ask for more bank statements, or if you have child support, alimony, if you're in the middle of a divorce, they might need the divorce decree, and they're not, and it's not that your lender or your agent's trying to be nosy. It's we have your best interest in hand, and we're here to help you. So, hopefully that was helpful. I'll stay on for a minute or so if anybody has a question. I'm happy to answer a question. Or if you'd like to talk one-on-one, I'm happy to do that, of course. You can private message me. You can call me, and if we'll get you going in the process of buying a home and seeing what's best for you. So give it one more second here if anybody has a question. But otherwise, I certainly greatly appreciate you tuning in. I hope you found it helpful. And yeah, all right. Thank you. Happy Friday.